why they held peaceful protests against the killing and for self-determination. Amnesty International says that many of those pro-Biafra protesters were shot and killed in their sleep, and others while they gathered in churches to pray. Many of the protesters were shot and killed from behind while they tried to escape. Contemporaries country report released by the United States Department confirmed such of this, particularly the Nigerian government declaration of IPOB as a terrorist organization in October 2017, which gave a dubious legal cover to Nigeria's security forces to resort extrajudicial killing of Biafra perceived by self-determination agitator or members of IPOB. As such, As you are reading this, the other killings of Biafrans by the Fulani Islamic terrorists is ongoing as we speak. The killing have not stopped to date, especially in the northern boundary of Igbo land, such that several innocent villagers were murdered in Ebonyi State in February 2025. Igbo communities to bury their brothers, sisters, fathers, mothers, sons, and daughters almost every month. And after times, the violence is maliciously and falsely attributed to unknown government or faceless Biafran separatists. In the face of all this, and in the perception that rogue elements of the security forces are complicit, the Biafran government in exile emerged as a beacon of hope for Biafrans that have become distrustful of the government. It bears mentioning that when the agitation for Biafra accelerated in late 2015, the response of Nigerian government was disappointingly non-pragmatic. Instead of acknowledging the burgeoning popularity of the agitation and take bona fide measure to contain it through constructive engagement or dialogue, the government went wide with deadly and extrajudicial law enforcement action that backfired by fueling the agitation to levels not seen since the end of the Civil War in 1970. This misguided law enforcement action turned a dangerous corner and boom raged when the government went rogue by extraordinary rendition of our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the Biafran leader from Kenya, in late June 2021. No doubt this is an avoidable overreaction that has composed Nigeria's legal system, triggered the international legal order against Nigeria, and bettered the government-driven insecurity that have rocked Southeast Nigeria, which is Biafra land, to this day. In between, Fulani Islamic terrorists have capitalized on the situation to disquiet Southeast Nigeria to no end. After Mazi Nnamdi Kanu illegal kidnapping, one of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu protege, Finland-based Biafran activist, His Excellency Mazi Simon Ekpa, took charge of the Biafra independence movement and created the Biafra Republic government in Brgie, of which he is the Prime Minister. As the next illustration of the Biafra independent movement, the Brgie has galvanized the support of the Biafran population and has engaged in high-level dialogue in Washington, D.C. with U.S. government officials. Furthermore, Brgie organized a self-referendum in which more than 50 million Biafrans voted in favor of independence. Brgie held an independence convention in Lahti, Finland, which started November 29 to December 2, 2024, in which Brgie declared the independence of Biafra on December 2, 2024. December 2, 2024, Biafra was redeclared. The government of Nigeria, according to Mr. Ekpa, has orchestrated 5 assassination attempts against his life. After allegedly failing to assassinate Mr. Ekpa, the government of Nigeria successfully pressured the government of Finland to arrest Mr. Ekpa in November 2024 on political motivated charges. The government of Finland then issued an indictment against Mr. Ekpa, as well as subsequent conviction, which demonstrates the political nature of the persecution at the instigation of government of Nigeria. The indictment by Finland, issued in May of 2025, alleged that Mr. Ekpa participated and supported a terrorist organization, even though pro-Biafra organizations are not designated as terrorist group in Finland or anywhere in the European Union. In fact, the only country in the world where pro-Biafra organization in fact, the only country in the world where pro-Biafra organization was designated is in Nigeria. For the government of Finland to accept that the Finnish citizen holding political position regarding internal policy matters within Nigeria is somehow a criminal offense in Finland is a nonsensical and absurd, and demonstrate that Finland is engaging in a political motivated prosecution. Nigeria conduct toward both Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and Simon Ekpa demonstrate transnational repression. At the moment, the issue of Biafra, the insecurity in southeast Nigeria, which is Biafra land, and all the unpleasant aftermath cannot be resolved, while the federal government of Nigeria persists in detention of Mazi Kanu, while Finland persists in detention of Mazi Simon Ekpa, and Biafrans continue to be marginalized. On this basis of foregoing, we must respectfully suggest the following to the U.S. government. 1. We urge the United States government to invoke the Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act, Summit 5 of Title S, 11 of 114-28328, to identify and impose travel and financial restrictions on all officials of the federal government of Nigeria and any Nigerian non-state actor implicated in the killing of Biafrans, Christians in their homeland in southeast Nigeria, which is Biafra land. We urge the United States government, including through targeted sanction and or tariff, to pressure the government of Nigeria to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and allow him a safe passage out of Nigeria. 3. We urge the United States government to pressure the government of Finland regarding its political motivated trial and conviction against pro-Biafra active Simon Ekpa. 4. We urge the United States government to deny all bilateral assistance and visa to officials of the government of Nigeria if it continues to engage in transnational repression against pro-Biafra activists, and if Simon Ekpa and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu continue to be held in detention. Consequently, Biafra through Brgie are ready to engage with the international community, include the United States of America government, especially in seeking to establish a newly independent Biafran state. Brgie is willing to engage in deal-making with U.S. government and come to economic, defense, and security agreement with the United States. Biafrans, represented by Brgie, are willing to negotiate with the U.S. in reciprocity and in anticipation for specific demand, interest, and expectation of the U.S. recent event in Sub-Saharan Africa have created a compelling need for the United States of America to get involved in the Gulf of Guinea. There is no better opportunity than that presented by the Biafra. For example, Biafra can be an ideal place for U.S. military base, as well as seaport. Biafra can also be host to African installations. Biafra can be a close ally of the United States and purveyor of Western interests in the region, as well as a bulwark against Islamic terrorists and extremists. This is important now more than ever, given the loss of key U.S. military bases in Sahel countries, as well as the Nigerian government ever closer relations with United States adversaries, a United States designated Islamic terrorist organization. In addition, Nigeria's persecution of Christians continues to worsen and further adds to the case of independent homeland for Nigeria. Christian population, just as U.S. recognized of Somalia, present great benefit to U.S. strategic interest in East Africa. Similarly, Biafra can present opportunities along similar lines for the U.S. in West Africa. We hope today's historical briefing will provide a precedent for further diplomatic engagement. And before I say thank you, we believe that we have sent our message, and we are damn serious for our freedom. We'll continue fighting. Our freedom is our right. No one else can do it better for us than us. And we are sending message to the world, especially the United States of America. We appreciate the opportunity and the privilege they have given us to voice out so that they can do what is right. We believe they are listening. We believe very soon we'll be having more diplomatic engagement with the United States of America, the leader of the free world. Thank you. We're going to be having some question and answer, and we have some witnesses that will be asking questions about the current situation, what is happening in Biafra land, if it is suitable for them, if it is that what they want. Do they deserve to live better than what is happening here today? We are glad to be here, and this is the beginning of our hearing in Washington, D.C. We believe that U.S. government, they are watching, they are listening, they are following, even if the members of the Congress, the ones that are not here, they are watching, so they know what we are doing and what is going on. I will call on Mazia Bobi. Yeah.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings, Biafrans who are here present. First of all, I want to appreciate everyone for being here. It's not easy. It is only a man who seeks for freedom that goes knocking on all doors. Because every locked door against each and every one of us is a locked door against millions of Biafrans. Especially millions of Biafrans, yourself, myself, who are witnesses, and over 50 million people who gave the Brgie government their vote for the self-referendum conducted in Finland. It conducted back home and ratified in Finland by over 517 Biafrans. So I appreciate each and every one of you who are here. And we thank the United States Congress for giving us this opportunity, for calling us to hear our voice at this time. It is of utmost importance that the Biafran people in general speak up now to stop the killing, to help the world, to help those who cannot speak for themselves, and the entirety of the people who live in the geographical location known as Nigeria, to regain their freedom. The freedom that we seek today is not just for the Biafran people, but for over 230 million people who exist in a place where they are all in a cave. Most of the people who exist there do not know themselves no more, cannot, for some reason, stand up and defend themselves. Of course, we know fear is part of terrorism. With me here are fellow Biafrans who are witnesses to the ongoing genocide in my land, Biafra. The ongoing genocide is a continuation of 1967 to 70, as we all have heard the acting Prime Minister of Brgie speak to us who are Biafrans and to the rest of the world who are listening. So I would like to ask my brothers and my sisters a few questions so that in their own words they can explain to the rest of the world, those who are watching, and to the congressmen and women who have given us this opportunity, who I'm sure would hear everything that we are saying here today, either today or tomorrow or in the nearest future. And whatever we say here will help them make decisions quick and act fast to save lives of Biafra, to save lives of women, children, and even unborn. Because in our case, we lose children in the mother's wombs due to Nigerian terrorism. Now, first of all, I would like to call on my sister, who is a witness, Love Akobondo. I would like to ask you, Love Akobondo, how would you describe the persecution and marginalization of Biafrans from your own personal observation and experience? What are the root causes of this genocide?
Hello, dear friends. Good afternoon. Thank you for the Brgie government. Thank you, the acting Prime Minister and your staff. And I also thank the Congress, American Congress, for giving us this opportunity. I'm going to say what I received as information from those who witnessed those incidents, because I wasn't there at the time. From there, that will lead into what is happening and still happening, unless we put a stop to it. You see, the marginalization has a long-standing history, stemming from the so-called colonization. From the time those people people showed up in the shores of Biafra, the back of Biafra, there hasn't been peace. Each time they bring up a situation that is not acceptable to our people, the Biafrans, we object it because we already had democracy before they showed up. We were living in organized society in every ramification before they showed up. So when they showed up and want to alter who we are, change us to benefit them, we said no. Instead of dialoguing with us, they come up with aggression. This has been going on through the Ekumenic warriors after the fall of our kingdom. Our people regrouped, defending themselves, defending their land, defending their culture, defending who they are as a people. They were met with killing, because that's the only thing to understand. They don't understand dialogue. From there, it moved to the time of taxation that was totally unacceptable, and our great-grandmothers came up to protest, simple protest. They did not kill anybody. They did not destroy anything. They were just protesting because one of the useless people, it is not today we begin to have a flavors in our society. A man called, and I'm going to call him by name, and I wish his generation will get to hear it so they can be ashamed of their grandfather. Chief Okuk from Oloko was the warrant chief who delivered that message of taxation. And after they had finished taxing our fathers, they came up with our mothers. And our mothers said no. What did they do? They turned out, killed some of them. To glorify their action, they termed it a women riot, which is a false thing. From there, when they discovered coal in Enugu, again, to their interest, poor working condition, our fathers protested for a better wages, a better working condition. What did they get? Bullets. They massacred the men. That was the coal mining massacre. It did not stop there. Each step of the way is aggression, no discussion. The good thing is, we are not the people you can just walk over. It's not going to happen. It's not yesterday, it's not today, it's not going to be all the tomorrows to come, because we are Biafrans, madam. No two ways about to take it or drop it. We're going to fight to the last man standing. Now, it did not stop there. It continues. The same marginalization, the same wickedness in all form and shape. Fast forward to the so-called flag independence. What did we get? The 1966 pogrom. I have a sister-in-law who lost her father to 1966 pogrom. Move forward, 1967, the so-called genocidal war, which the world refused to acknowledge. The thing sweeping it under the carpet is going to make a difference. It's going to escalate, and it's escalating. We have no apologies to anybody. Biafra must be free. Okay?
Thank you so much, my sister Love. You heard it all. Now, I will ask another question to another sister of mine, Miss Nonye Chima, sorry. We know how the United States government categorizes certain countries as state sponsors of terror. How do you rank Nigeria given their killing of Biafrans? And should the US government designate Nigeria as a state sponsor of terror?
Thank you very much for that question. First of all, I just wanted to thank Honorables Jim Moran and Elias Terasulis and the U.S. Congress for giving us the opportunity to inform the world of what has been going on in Biafra land for decades. So for the question, these are some of the reasons why United States government should designate Nigeria as a terror organization. One, between 2015 to 2016, Amnesty International reported that Nigerian security forces killed over 1,500 IPOB protesters in cold blood. Remember, they didn't have any weapons. They were just exercising their rights as citizens. And in 2017, there was what they called Operation Python Dance, which targeted the Southeast residents who are Biafrans, with soldiers invading communities, shooting civilians, and committing extrajudicial killings, which led to about 28 young men and women in our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's house. Thirdly, from 2021 to 2023, Amnesty International also documented over 1844 killings in Biafra land, including unlawful executions, torture, and enforced disappearances by security forces. And one might ask whether these killings or these killers have been apprehended and brought to justice, and the answer is no. No one has been held accountable for these killings. In fact, when locals apprehend any of the killers, there is always an order to free them. Up till today, the killings continue, and the painful thing is the fact that Biafrans are killed simply because we are Christians, simply because of the crude oil in Biafra land, and because they want to Islamize us by force, which we are resisting. So I call on the global community to pay attention to what's going on in Biafra land and elsewhere, where there is a genocide going on. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. That's what we expect from every Biafran to always carry in their heart. The fact that our people are dying every day. Now, I want to ask my brother Emmanuel Ugo, how would you describe the hatred of Biafrans or Igbos within the Nigerian by the political establishment, which has traditionally been controlled by the Muslim North? Would you say this is an important part of why there is support for the Biafran independence movement?
Thank you all. When we talk about Biafran hatred, the hatred of Biafrans in Nigeria by the political establishment, that goes deeper. Some of us came into this world and we live with this hatred, and we keep asking ourselves, why? Why us? What have we done? We've been hearing after everything we have gone through. The hatred runs deep in the Nigerian establishment, in their blood, both the political establishment and people from other parts of the country. We see this hatred every day. We have this economic jihad that has been going on. Our businesses are being born in Lagos, in the north. We are not allowed to scale when it comes to political positions as in the presidency of the country. And now we are seeking for Biafra. We want to be on our own so that we can be able to live in peace without facing this hatred every day. The Fulani Caliphate are the ones controlling Nigeria, and with this economic jihad, they have continued to display this economic jihad on the Biafrans, day in, day out, in every aspect of life, and we are tired of it. And we say this is the reason why over 80 million Biafrans, over 50 million Biafrans voted for the Biafra self-referendum, because they themselves are tired of the hatred. Every one of us can see it, even the young ones. And that is why there is maximum support for Biafra, so that we can have our own independent state and live in accordance with our own values. So that's what I will say about that. Thank you.
My brother Chima John, for those amongst you who lived during the first Biafra Civil War, it's called a civil war, but we know it's a genocidal war against the Biafran people, 1967 to 1970. Please, describe your experience. I know you might not know, but I know you have people who have told you stories. I see you're very much younger than 1967. So describe your experience and how you would compare the Biafran independence movement in the 1960s compared to now. And what do you wish the United States government to do regarding the issues of Biafra?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I want to thank the U.S. Congress for the opportunity that we have today to be at control for this hearing regarding Biafra. Some of us were not born in the war, but we have heard, we have read about all the atrocities that happened against Biafrans and against the Igbos during the war. We saw that Biafra land was completely destroyed by the Nigerian state in collusion with its Western allies and the Soviets. They destroyed schools, they destroyed the infrastructure. And while we're growing up, every part of Nigeria was designated as educational industrial. And these are places where there were no bombs, where there was no destruction. But in Biafra land, in Igbo land in particular, Igbos were never designated as educational industrial people. And we know what happened with the Civil War. One of the things that happened was the total blockade of Biafra land, and which led to the death of over 3 million people and the starvation of over 1 million children. I'm sure that the world saw some of those pictures, gory pictures of Kwashakwa children because of the starvation. And that led to people like Bruce Merrick, an American student from Columbia, to set himself ablaze in front of the United Nations Bureau. People like Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, saw what happened in Biafra and swore not to step his foot inside the church. And he said, how can the world open their eyes and saw this happen to humans or so-called fellow Christians and never did anything because of oil and hatred and theft, to put it literally. We saw all that. The Nigerian state, as part of the plot to put Biafrans down, and the Igbos in particular, they made sure that after the war, that every Igbo person or Biafran received only 20 pounds to start life from the beginning. And the Igbos and the Biafrans were the richest in that country as at that time. It was designed in the according to one of Nigeria's recent presidents, that it was designed to make Biafrans poor for over 200 years and become subservient to other ethnic groups. At the end of the day, today, Biafrans are not only successful, but they have reason to say that the only thing that will make us safe to actualize our economic and political potential and destiny is the creation of an independent state of Biafra, or the restoration of it, so that we can live in peace with our neighbors, so that we can be allies of the West and to our global community, so that we can harness our potential, our intellectual resources, our natural resources. We can harness it to the benefit of not only our own people, but to the world at large. That is what Biafrans seek. And we want the United States, as the leaders of the free world, to stand up and begin to do what is right by the Biafran people. Begin to do what is right. Because that's something that they're looking for. That's something that they take, that Nigeria gives them. Those oil and gas comes from Biafra land. We can negotiate. We can reach a deal with any country, America in particular, so that we can have our independence, a place we can feel safe, and to live in freedom. Thank you very much.
Just so you know, my mother served in the Red Cross during the war, and my father was equally a soldier during that war. So, just like himself, and like many of us here, I have so many stories of what happened and why we need to be free. It's not just because of the resources, but for our children to be able to see tomorrow. Now, I want to call on my brother, our brother, Mazikelo Israel. Mazikelo Israel, please. As we are in the Capitol Hill building, speaking to the United States Congress and to everyone who cares to listen to the Biafra people, I would like to ask, what would you recommend, or what would be your recommendation to the United States government to hold Nigeria accountable and to assist Biafra?
Thank you, Honorable Speakers. Thank you very much, Honorable. First of all, let me thank our great friends, Elias Grasolas, and of course, Honorable Dr. Michael Rubin, who spoke earlier on, and Nkere, who has been leading this struggle since our leaders have been incarcerated. I'm talking about Simon Epa and Nandekano. And I want to thank the U.S. Congress for allowing us this opportunity to come here. Again, they are demonstrating that they are the leader of the free world, as against other nations where they don't want to talk about this. As our Honorable Michael Rubin has said, here you are free to talk and nobody will arrest you. And so we are here requesting that U.S. government to come and stop the killings that is going on in Nigeria. We are talking about the genocide that happened 1966 to 1970. Right now, that happened mainly in the southeast. Right now, the entire Nigerian state is a killing zone. It rivals what happened during the Civil War. And so we are pleading with U.S. Congress to come to quickly, not to delay, by doing these following things: to officially recognize Biafra genocide of 1966 to 1970, which has continued up to today. As our Honorable Minister said, Michael Rubin said, because those who committed the genocide have not been charged, instead they seem to have been congratulated by lifting them from to be the presidents of that place. This has empowered them to continue with the genocide. So we are playing with the U.S. government to live up to their moral standards as the free world leader, to come immediately to this aid of Biafrans. We are also pleading with the U.S. government to condemn immediately, because that will save life, condemn immediately the abuses that is going on there, which is quite obvious. It's not hidden. You have terrorists that are being recognized, giving a peace deal, while those that are speaking the truth to save the country from the killings that is going on are being incarcerated, like Mazen and Nkere and Simon Eber. Just yesterday, they agreed on a plea deal with terrorists, a peace deal, and they are walking free. We are asking the U.S. government to invoke the Global Magnitsky Act, identify all those criminals. The Canadian government have declared the political organizations in Nigeria as terrorist organizations. We're asking the U.S. government to go further, identify the individuals themselves, and invoke them and put heavy sanctions on them. That is what we are asking, to further what the Canadian government has already done. We are asking the U.S. government to demand, with immediate effect, to the release of Nnamdi Kanu, a man that has been even acquitted in some of the courts in that Federal Republic of Nigeria. Several courts have discharged him and acquitted him, and in fact requested that the government compensate him. Outside UN have already also requested that he be released immediately. Kenyan government has come out openly to say that he was extraordinarily rendition. He was kidnapped from Kenya. That he should be released, and on no basis should he be tried for anything because of the illegality that they practice on him and abuses. Yet Nnamdi Kanu is still in prison. Even recently, he asked for him to be allowed to visit the hospital, to go for a hospital treatment, and they rejected it. They rejected that he would not go to the hospital. So we are asking the U.S. Congress to act immediately. We need urgent help. We also ask U.S. Congress to pressure Finland to release Simon Eber. He was doing honor and he was worried seeing the decimation of his people. Okay? But that's the thing we're asking. To pressure Finland government to release Simon Eber. Finally, we ask the U.S. Congress to recognize the referendum that was conducted. 50 million. If that is not acceptable, then to help us organize a UN acceptable referendum for Biafrans, and to show that demonstrate that Biafrans are really in need to be freed. And the freedom we're asking for Biafrans is not only for Biafrans, because it will also free the ordinary people of that country called Nigeria from all the killings that are going on, which is only going to escalate as their 2027 elections continues. These are what we are requesting. Thank you very much.
Just something that is very dear to me. I really wish that the United States Congress and the United States government would help us pressure Nigeria. I would like for the genocide that took the life of over 5 million of my people to be recognized. If today we speak about the Holocaust, there is no reason why we shouldn't speak about the death of over 5 million Biafrans. Thank you very much.
I resume my function as President of the Council. I now give the floor to the representative of the United States.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for chairing this important meeting. Thank you to our briefers, Secretary General Guterres, and ECOWAS Commission President Dr. Touré. Colleagues, as we speak, Al-Qaeda-affiliated terrorists in the Sahel have paralyzed Mali with a fuel blockade. Colleagues, the situation is dire there. We see Al-Qaeda aiming to take over the entire country. The United States acknowledges the counterterrorism efforts of the Malian armed forces against these and other terrorist organizations such as ISIS, Sahel, but the situation is worsening quickly. We remained deeply concerned about the incidents of kidnapping, the incidents of hostage-taking across the Sahel as a means to finance these terrorist activities. Unfortunately, since the veto of the UN sanctions regime in 2023, it has been deeply disappointing to see Mali's security situation continue to deteriorate. That decision removed critical tools from the international community that it relied on to promote accountability and to promote stability. And the result has been an uptick, a massive surge in violence, has been a shrinking space for dialogue and growing risk for civilians across the country and across the region. The terrorist threats are not only intensifying, they are spreading, they are shifting southward, as evidenced by the terrorist attacks we've seen in Benin and Togo. But particularly, the United States is concerned and outraged by the ongoing slaughter of thousands of Christians in Nigeria by various ethnic militias in the Middle Belt, as well as terrorists like Boko Haram and ISIS West Africa in the north. It is tragic and it is unacceptable. Churches are burning, villages are being razed, thousands are killed, clergy murdered simply for wearing a cross, for being a Christian, for daring to say they worship Jesus as Christ. Just yesterday, 25 little girls were kidnapped from their school, and one school official murdered trying to protect them, from MAGA Comprehensive Girls Secondary School in Kebbi State. Colleagues, this is happening. It's undeniable, and it's unacceptable. The United States condemns these attacks in the strongest terms, and it demands accountability. And as President Trump has made clear, we will not stand by while such atrocities are happening in Nigeria. The government of Nigeria must take immediate steps and do more to increase security, respond to early warnings, end impunity, and address the drivers of violence. And colleagues, we need to see African leadership on these matters, and we need to see a coordinated response among all countries in the region. The situation is critical. The United States will continue to work with regional partners to counter these common threats. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of the United States for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of China.
James, and I want to thank him. February of 2024, he had a very important hearing on Nigeria and other advocacy throughout that time. So the floor is yours.
Mr. Chairman, thank you so much for your personal invitation, for your leadership, and for your friendship. I'm honored to be back. Psalms 96:14 asks, "Who will rise up for me against the wicked? Who will take a stand for me against evildoers?" Nigeria is facing one of the gravest religious freedom crises in the world. As the former chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee on Africa, I have visited and have seen firsthand the direness of the conditions in what is now the deadliest place on earth to be a Christian. They are targeted, displaced, and killed simply for their faith. The ancient plea, "Is there no help for the widow's son?" still echoes today. Since 2019, nearly 17,000 Christians have been killed. In the first 7 months of this year alone, hundreds more were murdered. On June 13th, during the Yellowater massacre, more than 280 Christians were slaughtered in a single day. These are not isolated tragedies, but a sustained pattern of religiously motivated violence, often ignored or even enabled by the Nigerian government. Extremist groups like Boko Haram, Fulani militants, and ISIS West Africa attack often without any meaningful intervention from authorities. The lack of response has created an atmosphere of impunity where Christians continue to live in constant threat and fear. The United States has previously recognized this crisis. President Trump not only designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern during his first term, but redesignated it again in his second term after President Biden inexplicably removed that designation. Religious persecution is tied to political repression and weakening institutions in Nigeria. Example, the detention of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a clear example. In 2022, Nigeria's Court of Appeal struck down the charges against him and ordered his release. The UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention has also called for his unconditional release. Yet he remains in solitary confinement, in deteriorating health, and recently had to represent himself in court. Nigeria has signaled that the law is optional and targeting Christians is fair game. Just hours ago this morning, despite the pleas and cries of Nigerian people and many Nigerian lawmakers, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was convicted on all charges. For fiscal year 2025, the U.S. has requested nearly $8 billion for sub-Saharan Africa. But when Americans see political prisoners, judicial defiance, and the slaughter of Christians, they understandably ask as they meet their own struggles, why should our tax dollars support governments that refuse to protect their own people? Is our aid aiding a genocide? Nigeria is a nation of tremendous potential, but that potential is being choked out by violent persecution of its Christian population. No country can build a stable future where churches are burned, believers are killed, and communities live in fear. The United States must stay engaged, and Nigeria must change course now. Mr. Pratt, a direct question. Do you believe, in your professional assessment, that the government of Nigeria has been infiltrated by jihadists?
I do not believe that the government of Nigeria has been infiltrated by jihadists.
Okay, because when you look at the selective enforcement of the rule of law, one might question if there are any favoritism or looking the other way when groups are being specifically targeted, despite the fact, as my colleague Mr. Moore mentioned, not enforcing the rule of law with regard to weapons. My next question, how has the Nigerian government reacted since President Trump's country of particular concern designation announcement?
They have taken the designation very seriously. There is a senior delegation here now. They will meet with the most senior officials of the U.S. government this week. And we have already demarched the government in Abuja and here in Washington on the action plan. And I can say that the results so far have been positive in terms of cooperation.
The Nigerian government needs to do more to address this issue themselves, but what measures are being taken to assist Nigeria to increase its focus on persecution, particularly in the Middle Belt?
Yeah, so thank you for your question, Congressman James. As you mentioned, the Middle Belt is a particular concern. That's where Christians, you mentioned Yalwada, where 250 or 280 Christians were killed, massacred. They were targeted because they were Christians. Churches have been burned there. There have been internally displaced people there. And so we're reviewing all options at the State Department, including Chairman Smith, you mentioned our bureau, we have Global Magnitsky Act sanctions. We have other tools at our disposal as well to make sure that Nigeria, the Nigerian government gets the message that we are serious about the persecution of Christians and other communities as well, but particularly Christians right now who are suffering disproportionately in the Middle Belt.
Thank you for your answer, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for having me again. God bless you, and good luck. I'm here for you.
Thank you so